Welp, I did it. I'm John Stark from ActionMovieGuy.com, your favorite blind film critic. Remember that part. I'm going to say blind film critic again, just so that you know that. I'm a member of three different critics organizations. I decided, of my own free will, it's not an anniversary release, but I decided to finally see what's up with Time Bandits. Let's talk about it. So, I found this on Max through their TCM portal. It sort of came up as a suggestion, and I was like, you know what? I know this thing doesn't have audio description, and I don't necessarily need to watch this because it came out in 1981, so it doesn't line up perfectly with any sort of like anniversary release. But what it does line up with is me having just seen the first season of Apple TV Plus's Time Bandits. And I was like, if there's ever a time where I'm going to have the best shot at understanding what is going on in this movie without audio description, it's going to be now. It's going to be after watching somebody try to adapt into a series this movie. Anyway, so my blind audience, I have a purple hat on backwards. I have black sunglasses, and I'm wearing a Marvel Avengers shirt. So just so you know, I don't know what characters on it. Don't ask me. I probably Iron Man. Definitely Iron Man is on there somewhere. Probably Hulk. I don't know. I don't even know if you can see it very. I never know if I'm even on camera or if I'm pretty. Nobody ever tells me. Like, I never had a comment about being pretty before. So I don't know. Anyway, this is directed by Terry Gilliam. And it is, holy shit, unwatchable. I kind of got a little bit like from the series. I was like, okay, so the setup is the same. Like, there's a kid and the Time Bandits come into his life and then they travel. I could tell that was happening. I don't think they travel to the same points. This film does not rely that heavily on dialogue. It has a lot of sound effects and a lot of like action sequences, and I'm sure because it has sort of like a sci-fi fantasy element to it, it's very visual and a lot of story elements, and probably I would guess there's probably like creatures that don't look like they're human, stuff like that. This was, oh my god, I almost gave up. I almost just said, I like at a certain point I was just gonna back out of the film and just be like, look, I made it through. I finished it. I was like, you know what? You finished Skinamarink. So you can do this. I powered through it. I made it all the way through to the end, to be fair to the film. And I don't know what this film's about. I honestly, as a blind person, if I had not seen the Apple Plus series, I would have almost nothing on a first time viewing with this. I'd have no bearing at all. But at least and I know that that's like fans of Time Bandits would hate to hear that. They're like, they probably think the other thing that Taika Waititi and Jermaine Clement are doing is like blasphemous to this world. But it's like, man, without that, I wouldn't have had anything. I wouldn't have had the slightest notion of what's going on in Time Bandits. At least I could say I got like 5% of 100. You know what I'm saying? Like 5% is like, so I can tell there's a kid, he has parents, and the Time Bandits come into his life in a very weird way, like they did in the show, and he seems to leave with them. And there are people who are, there's some sort of force that's chasing these Time Bandits down that needs to acquire something that they have, like in the show. So, but it doesn't feel like there's necessarily the same. The humor is completely different because this is sort of Monty Python adjacent humor. I believe Michael Palin wrote the script with Terry Gilliam, and so it's got that kind of vibe to it a little bit, but it's not like it's not the same thing as Monty Python. Like, I love Monty Python and the Holy Grail, and I've yet to find that with audio description, and don't go breaking my heart, and just, It just very, very sad. Anyway, but I love that film and the Knights of Knee and everything like that. That's such a great film. Anyway, so I'm going to ask you 3 questions. um, yes, this is, I don't know, I got nothing. So this is gonna be a really short review. Wholly unwatchable. This like unwatchable plus. Is it, or should it be a minus? Like, I don't know, like, because when you go down in grade, you go like D minus, right? So that if I went unwatchable plus, I would suggest that it was like heading towards not being unwatchable. So it's unwatchable times 2, like unwatchable 2, unwatchabler. I don't know. It's the sequel to Unwatchable, where they double down on unwatchableness. I honestly, I don't think I've had such a disconnect with a film since Skinamarink. I'm trying to think of, I'm like, is there a film that I sat through? And I've sat through some foreign language films with dubbing and only dubbing. Like, I watched RRR with just English dubbing, and that was a mess. That was a hot mess. This might be one of the worst film experiences I've ever had watching without audio description, to be totally honest. It's definitely like top 10. Easily like top 10. So, could not follow it at all. Like I can't tell you what this without literally it's fully separating, and not assuming that it follows the same plot as the show. I have no idea what this movie's about. So I'm sorry if you came here for like a serious review on Time Bandits, but a lot of what I do is advocacy work to try to get audio description out there so that more people can watch films. Because while I waited my whole life to watch Time Bandits, I obviously didn't think I was going to go blind in my 30s, but other people may want to watch it sooner. I'd fight for all content, because even if I may not want to watch something, somebody else may want to watch something. So that's why it's really important to think about it in a broader sense and try to describe everything and describe things. Even there are things that when I'm like, why did we pick that movie? I'm like, I hope somebody watches that movie. I hope that satisfies somebody. When there's like a sort of like really randomly straight to video shitty movie that has like no stars in it, and you're like, why does this have audio description? But at least it has it. So it's there for whoever that is, whatever audience member that is, whoever that satisfies, that likes those trashy movies. Great. I'm glad that it's there for you, because somebody's watching it, you know. And I think that should be applied more across the board to other things. So Time Bandits should probably get audio description at some point, and it feels kind of weird. I don't know if Max, I don't know which studio this comes from. So I would say do it anyway. Like if you're knowing that you're gonna have Time Bandits around the same time as Apple Plus is launching the Time Bandits series, you know that you're benefiting from it, because you're benefiting from somebody else doing all the work. So you could do a little bit of work and just pay for audio description to kind of make it so that you can promote the thing that somebody else is doing that's really hot. You know what I'm saying? At the time. Like I keep seeing Disney and they're promoting Alien. It doesn't have audio description. They're like, we got an Alien movie coming out. You want to watch Alien? It's like, I do, when it has audio description. I've seen Alien before. I mean, I could do a review of why Alien is unwatchable, but I think everybody just kind of understands Alien is unwatchable. But I could do that without watching the movie. You know what I'm saying? Like, I've seen Alien before. I haven't seen Time Bandits before, so I needed to actually see it to be able to comment on it. So anyway, sorry for not being able to give you guys cohesive thoughts on it. I do love Terry Gilliam as a director, and I'm sure this film is fine. I've heard nothing but praise for this film. Even if it's not like people who are like, oh yeah, it's one of the best films ever made. They're like, I really love that film. Which is fine too. Desert Island films, comfort films are totally fine. Those have a place too. We should be able to rate everything high, like, and just acknowledge that one thing makes me happy, the other thing is cinematically crafted expertly by geniuses. Like, but they both deserve A's. Do you know what I'm saying? Like, they both are like on the same level. This thing brought me extreme joy, but I understand it's not cinematic gold. You know, it's not Oscar. It's not going to win Best Picture. But at the same time, this other thing over here is exquisite in its artistry. They both achieve their goal, and they both deserve A's. That's how I operate. I don't know what this is. So thank you for watching. Thanks for subscribing. I'll see you guys on the other side.